There is a peculiar kind of silence that does not merely hover in the air, but settles inside a person as though it were a second skin. Quiet people carry this silence with them, not as a burden nor as a shield, but as a way of perceiving the world with a texture others often overlook. To understand the psychology of quiet people is to step into a realm where the spoken word is not the only form of presence, where thoughts move like gentle rivers beneath an apparently still surface, and where meaning grows in the soft spaces between sound and solitude. Quiet people are not silent because they have nothing to say. They are silent because they hear too much. They notice the fluttering of micro-emotions on someone's face, the tension behind a forced smile, the shift in tone that betrays an unspoken worry. Their minds are tuned to subtleties, to the small tremors of human expression that louder souls sometimes trample over. To be quiet is to live in an inner world that never stops whispering, never stops sensing, never stops weaving connections between the fleeting gestures of life. Many quiet individuals learned early that the world tends to reward volume over depth. As children, they discovered that the loudest voice in the room often becomes its center, even if what it says is shallow. They encountered the expectation that confidence must be performed, that presence must be broadcast, that personality must be something you project outward in dazzling colors. And yet something inside them resisted this prescription, not out of fear but out of fidelity to their natural rhythm. They did not want to shout simply to be heard. They wanted their presence to be a kind of gentle gravity, not a spectacle. Psychologically, quiet people often experience heightened internal processing. Their minds coil around ideas for longer, exploring meanings instead of skimming surfaces. They rehearse conversations before they speak them. They weigh words not because they are timid, but because they believe language deserves care. To say something is, for them, to carve a small mark into the world, and such an act should not be done recklessly. The introverted psyche tends to value intentionality, even in the smallest exchanges. Their quietness is not emptiness, it is precision. There is also a philosophical dimension to their silence. Quiet people dwell in reflection, not because they prefer isolation, but because reflection allows them to understand the truth beneath experience. They question themselves with an honesty that can be both beautiful and painful. Why did I feel this emotion? What did I mean by that thought? What remains unspoken in my actions? Their inner life is rich with inquiry. Instead of racing from one moment to the next, they often pause and observe, not out of passivity but out of wonder. The world, when seen through a quiet mind, unfolds in layers: the seen, the suggested, the hidden, the metaphysical. Quiet people often carry a tenderness that they guard with great care. Their sensitivity is not fragility, it is depth. They feel emotions like a pianist touches keys, delicately, deliberately, with awareness of resonance. This sensitivity allows them to understand others in ways that louder hearts sometimes cannot. They sense when someone is hurting even without words. They sense the gap between what someone says and what they truly mean. They sense when a room is brimming with unexpressed longing, tension, or exhaustion. Their empathy is often intuitive and instinctive. It flows not from theory but from attunement. And yet this very sensitivity can make the world exhausting. A crowded room becomes a flood of energy, each voice another wave crashing through their mental shores. They do not dislike people, they simply absorb too much of them. Their nervous systems are like finely tuned instruments, beautiful when played gently, overwhelmed when struck too hard. That is why quiet people often retreat, not to avoid life but to metabolize it. Their solitude is not an escape, it is a way of processing the emotional data they gather. In the hush of their private space, their minds can breathe again. There is a misconception that quietness equals insecurity, but the truth is more complex. Some quiet people are indeed anxious, but many are simply content with presence rather than performance. They are not threatened by silence. They do not fear empty spaces in conversation. They can sit with themselves without needing noise to distract from their inner terrain. This is a rare form of confidence, the kind that comes not from self-assertion, but from self-possession. They speak little because their thoughts are abundant. They act calmly because their inner storms have taught them serenity. They walk softly because they have learned that the world is fragile, and that every gesture, every word, every silence has weight. They observe their emotions as though watching clouds drifting through the sky. They think before reacting, they reflect before deciding. Their restraint is not suppression but discernment. They prefer to respond rather than react, to understand rather than judge, to connect rather than impose. This makes them trustworthy, Though often underestimated, their wisdom grows quietly, like roots expanding beneath the soil. Many quiet people also possess a unique form of resilience. The world assumes they are delicate, but quiet souls have weathered storms within that others never see. Their silence often hides battles fought in solitude, struggles with self-doubt, conflicts with expectation, negotiations between their inner and outer selves. They have carried burdens without fanfare, endured heartbreak without spectacle, rebuilt themselves without applause. Their quietness is not weakness, it is survival woven into temperament. There is poetry in the way they navigate existence. They see life as a series of moments that deserve attention, not as a checklist to be conquered. They savor small things: the warmth of morning light, the scent of pages in an old book, the gentle murmur of wind against leaves. To them, the world is not merely a stage. It is a sanctuary filled with details that speak in soft tones. Quiet people love deeply, though they express it quietly. They show care through consistency, presence, small gestures that linger long after they are given. They listen, not as a courtesy, but as a form of devotion. They make others feel seen, not through dramatic declarations, but through the subtle art of genuine attention. Their affection is steady, slow-burning, unassuming, yet because they reveal themselves sparingly, many never truly see them. People project assumptions onto their silence: aloof, uninterested, detached, mysterious. But inside, quiet people often yearn for connection, not loud, chaotic connection, but deep resonance. They want to be understood in the way they understand others. They want someone who can read the unspoken chapters of their being. In relationships, they often bloom slowly, like flowers that only open at dusk. Trust is a delicate architecture for them. It must be built with patience. But once they trust, they offer a form of loyalty that is profound and enduring. Their love is an inner flame, not a roaring fire, steady, warm, sustaining. Philosophically, quiet people remind us that human worth is not measured by volume. They challenge the modern obsession with constant expression, constant visibility, constant noise. They show that presence can be powerful even when it is soft. They teach that reflection is not laziness but depth, that solitude is not loneliness but sanctuary, that silence is not emptiness but fullness. Quiet people exist in every society as the keepers of subtleties. They are the thinkers, the healers, the observers, the poets, the souls who trace meaning in the spaces others overlook. Their psychology is a reminder that not all truths must be shouted to be real. Some truths whisper themselves into existence through the way a quiet person looks at the world. In the end, to understand quiet people is to soften one's perception. It is to listen not only to words but to pauses, to pay attention not only to actions but to intention, to appreciate that some of the most profound human experiences happen beneath the threshold of noise. Quiet people are not mysteries to be solved, nor empty vessels waiting to be filled. They are landscapes, vast, intricate, and alive. And like all landscapes, they reveal their beauty to those who take the time to wander gently through them. Their silence is a language. Their presence is a poem. Their mind is a cathedral of echoes and reflections, where thoughts bloom like constellations in the dark. To know them is to listen with the heart, to see with patience, to feel with intuition. For quiet people are not the absence of sound, they are the presence of depth.